This article discusses about the dietary responses of the brackish Cladoceran Daphneosis australis fed on the different algae species. So Cladoceran species fed on algae because of the suitable size, motility, and nutritional value. Daphneosis australis is a small Cladoceran endemic to the southeastern Australian salt lakes. So this study provided a new understanding on the trophic relationship between Daphnia australis and its food organisms, which are important for further studies. The next is the culture of algae. Three algae species, which is Tetracermis suecisa, Nanochloropsis oculata, and Isochrystis tahitian, were used as mono or multi-algae diets to investigate the dietary response of the Daphnia australis. So these algae contain various forms of pupa, which is essential for the development of the Daphnia. Each algae species was cultured in 2-liter sterilized glass bottles provided with aeration under continuous light exposure. These algae were cultured in a series of batch cultures with inoculations every 2 days to ensure adequate algal supply was provided. And the next is the stock culture of Daphnia australis. The culture medium was prepared from filtered seawater and desired salinity was obtained by the addition of the demineralized water. Prior to the experimentation, the stock culture were divided into 3 separate containers where they feed on the Tetracermis, Nanochloropsis, and also the Isochrystis. Each algae species was harvested in exponential growth phase to feed on the Daphnia australis. The population density was also maintained below 100,000 to reduce the overcrowding.
Experimental design. 7 food combinations were used to test the australis response, which is 3 monoalgal diets and 4 multi-algal diets. Biovolume measurements was used to standardize the diet supply since the tested algae in study differed in size. Algal cells were harvested in exponential growth phase and were enumerated on a hemocytometer under a light microscope prior to each feeding trial. A single parthenogenetic female was isolated from the stock culture into a jar that have similar medium to the stock culture. After the first generation appeared, newborn units were picked up and each of them was acclimatized in a jar containing medium from each corresponding food treatment. Every day, the culture medium was renewed using a new jar to avoid effect from dead microalgae.
The female Daphnia, which feeds with Tetracermis suecica or combination with Nanochloropsis, will have long lifespan than those feed with other diets. Age at first reproduction. The maturation of female was depends on the algae species. The female which feeds with Isochrystis tahitian, combination of Nanochloropsis oculata, maturation level is higher compared to those feed with other algae combination. The egg developmental. Algae species significantly affect EDT. The eggs hatch faster in females those feed with monospecies of Nanochloropsis oculata or Isochrystis tahitian or Tetracermis suecica than in those feed with multi-algae species. The female feed with Nanochloropsis oculata grew faster but did not vary from those feed with only Isochrystis tahitian or other combination of algae. The total age culture is female given mono algae, which is Tetracermis suecica, produce the most culture, whereas the female feed with mono Isochrystis tahitian produce the fewest. Last, the total offspring. All algae species have considerable impact on overall number of offspring developed by a female. Female feed with Tetracermis suecica had the greatest number of offspring, followed by the considerable decrease in the Tetracermis suecica combination of Nanochloropsis frequent. That's all from me, thank you.
There are 3 kinds of algae species responses at the population rate, which are net reproductive rate, generation time, and also intrinsic growth rate. It has significant impact on RO if fed on various species of algae. Higher RO or reproductive rate occur when the females were given Tetracermis suecica. Next, roe females that fed on Isochrystis tahitian had the lowest fertility, and there were no difference from those fed on Nanochloropsis oculata. Next, the generation time of Dinopsis australis was influenced by feed on different algae species. The females that fed on Isochrystis tahitian had the lowest GT compared to other algae combinations. Besides, algae species combinations has influenced the intrinsic growth rate of Dinopsis australis. Next, the maximum R was seen when it given Tetracermis suecica. The females that fed on monoalgae such as Isochrystis tahitian or Nanochloropsis oculata or multi-algae had the similar R value.
5.1 Impact of algae species on D. australis at the individual level. First, longevity. D. australis has longer and feed on monoalgae suecica. Multi-algae produces intermediate longevity. Impact of single algae species on zooplankton can be changed by addition of other algae species. Second, development growth and reproduction and oculata. Support animal somatic growth than reproduction. Diet contains 6.3 times more carbon than T. suecica. best for M. mongolica but not for Acacia bifida and Gladioferans imparibus. DHA has less than 0.1% and EPA has 44.3%. T. suecica, highest reproductive but hampered the growth rate. Excellent for maize culture of the cyclopod Copepod P. nana, DHA has less than 0.1% and EPA has 5.4%. I-tithium support animal somatic growth than reproduction. Diet content 2.8 times more carbon than T. suecica. Fast growth for Artemia franciscana and P. nana, but not fast for T. stylifera. They possess suitable nutrient for zooplankton. DHA rich in I-tithium similar to D. australis, feed on EPA rich on N. oculata. EPA has high fertility and early maturation.
I would like to present about the discussion of the article. In order to observe the zooplankton ecology, it's actually better to do the population observation instead of individual response. And the studies also shows that actually there's no difference between population response and individual response to a diet that we fed them. From this table, it shows the difference between multi-algae and monoalgae based on different factors. And we can see that the species that we have been observed, it have different selection of species of algae, and it actually is not good for us to mix the three species of algae together.
In conclusion, the kind of algae species has big impact on diagnosis australis, a livestock. Next, the Tetraselimis cecica was a good diet for animal reproduction and survival. Also, Nanochloropsis oculata and Isochrysis tahitian able to encourage somatic growth, where the combination of Nanochloropsis